everyone, I am your astrologer Wonder Girl, taking you to new heights. This is your forecast for the new moon in Aries happening on March 24th, 2020 at 5:27 a.m. Eastern Time or at 2:27 a.m. Pacific Time. What I believe this new moon in Aries is really all about. It's about a major new chapter in our lives starting to unfold. A totally new identity, a totally different sense of self, a totally different way of being. It's like a whole new world out there. It reminds me of that song from Aladdin, especially now that Saturn's in Aquarius, that we are starting to step into as we speak. So that's what I'm going to talk about now in this video. If you want to hear more about that, please stay tuned. Before I get started though, I just got to let you know I got more videos going on than just these two that I do right now on YouTube. I do videos for every single day that's going on in the astrology. Some of those get kind of long, but I do videos, daily horoscope videos. I also do weekly horoscope videos and monthlies as well. If you want to get more from me, then please check that out on my website, wondergirlastrology.com, to get more. You can either sign up for my subscription service and get them regularly, or just check them out or purchase them as you see fit, whatever is up to you. I'm also hoping as well that I can have some more sun sign videos coming very soon. Not quite yet, but I will let you know when they're coming. So hopefully that's part of my Aries new moon, but we'll see. Now, for what's going on today, I always like to start when I do these horoscopes by actually placing where the new moon is on the chart so that you can see it, understand it, and follow along with me. Where is the new moon? It's going to be right here. How do I know it's a new moon? Because the moon and the sun are conjunct, which means they are at the exact same degree and the exact same sign. In this case, it's 4 degrees Aries. What are new moons all about? New moons are all about beginnings, usually small beginnings, fresh starts in some way, shape, or form. What are we beginning? What are we starting? Well, with the Aries influence, Aries has to do with what? Aries has to do, I like to think, with our identity, with who we are as a whole, with Aries being the first sign of the zodiac. Aries as well being a Mars sign, or being ruled by Mars, also has to do with how we do things and how we act. So what is this a new beginning in? This is a new beginning in our identity and who we are, or a fresh start in that regard, and a fresh start in how we act and do things, doing them in new and different ways. This is also the astrological new year. The new moon in Aries indicates, or is the start of that. Why? Because Aries again is the first sign of the zodiac. So this is the new year, according to astrology, which will last until the next new moon in Aries, which will be about this time next year. So to me, this new moon, I mean, they happen every year, but this new moon is a big year because this is the one that where we plant our intentions of who we want to be and how we want to do things for the next year of our lives. Okay, kind of similar, I suppose, to the regular new year, except this one to me is more timed to the universe. Okay, now anything else I want to say about this new beginning that's happening with our identity and with how we do things? Okay, not only is this a new beginning in our identity and how we do things in general, and not only is this just a new beginning in our identity and how we do things because it's the astrological new year, but it's also a major new beginning in how we do things because of my good old friends, my favorite planets to talk about, Saturn, Pluto, and now Jupiter, right? So I feel like in order for you to understand the weight of this new moon, you got to understand the story from the past of how we got here to get to this point. All right, so I'm going to go back to that. When I talk about Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter, I'm going to explain the importance of why a new identity is so important. You know, that's the thing. You know, are we just doing things differently and being different because we want to be, because it just came to us? Because, you know, I mean, it is nice to refresh your intentions every year, but to me, there's a larger story to that. Now, I know Saturn is in Aquarius now, which it recently entered, which I will talk about in a minute, but I want to go back first to when Saturn was conjunct Pluto, exactly, which was in January. And what would have happened around that time, January, and I think in the year following, leading up to this January, was that we were trying to make a major change, Pluto, in the structure of our lives and in the direction of it, Saturn, Capricorn, manifest. Okay, so in January of 2020 and for all of last year and possibly even longer, we were trying to change our lives in a major way. Why were we trying to change our lives in a major way? Because the past 35 years, I'm using 35 because that's how long it takes Saturn and Pluto to come conjunct. Because in the past 35 years, or because what we have realized is that we either do not like the past 35 years of our lives and we want to redo or a restart. Okay, so we've been changing our lives since January because we want to, not since, we've been changing our lives for a while that came exact in January because we did not like the past 35 years and wanted different experiences and a fresh start. If we weren't changing our lives because we didn't like the past 35 years, then possibly we were just changing our lives because we wanted something different than the past 35 years and because we had outgrown it and because other things are now calling our attention so that we can grow and learn in a different way. Okay, and that's what happened in January of this year. I don't want to say we completed some change or we made some big change to overcome old cycles. Okay, because we have made some change to overcome old 35-year cycles and to set us up for what? For new 35-year cycles until Saturn and Pluto meet again. Because we have made some change, we need to what? New moon in Aries. Be different. Act differently, express ourselves differently. And this is not just, let me just say a few new astrological New Year's resolutions about who I want to be for the next year, which is still important. This is about us saying, I'm no longer who I was for the past 35 years of my life, which for some of us is our entire life. I'm about to be 32, that's my entire life. So this is a big deal, this new moon in Aries, because it's saying my life as I've known it for the past 35 years is over. It doesn't exist, or it's gone, or I've changed it, or something has happened to force me to change it. And now I have to be someone different, someone that I've never been in my entire lifetime or that I haven't been in 35 years. Can it feel scary? Sure. Sure, it could feel scary. I like to think if you've been following me or other astrologers, if you've been following astrology for a while, I like to think that you were prepared for it. I like to think that you're okay with it. I like to think that you knew this was coming, So there's a part of me that's like, sure, it could be scary with all the stuff that's been going on with the Saturn, Pluto stuff. But I like to think that we anticipated it. We knew it was coming. We were trying to change it. And because now that Saturn and Pluto have passed and Jupiter is now conjunct Pluto, we are starting to see things in our life shift massively. Jupiter, big, Pluto, change. We're starting to see things in our life shift massively. But with the Jupiter influence, I like to think positively for the better. Okay. So maybe I'll just recap all of that to catch me up to where I want to go next. What's gone on is that in January, we broke a lot of bad habits or a lot of things from the past 35 years of our life that we did not like or no longer want. Because we have broken a lot of those old things or gotten rid of them, we now have to be different, act differently, express ourselves in new and different ways so that we can move on. Creating another 35-year chapter of our lives. If we can allow ourselves to do that, to become new and different, well, whether we allow ourselves or not really, we're going to start to see massive changes in our life take place for what's next. Okay. I think that's where I'll leave us with the context. Now I'm going to go back to the new moon in Aries itself. What's going on with this new moon in Aries? It's making a conjunction. Maybe I'll start with that to Chiron. So what is this about? Chiron is about fears, insecurities, things that are uncomfortable, things that feel bad. It's like our biggest wound in life is where Chiron is. Things that just make us sensitive and hurt a bit. So that brings me back to my point. Could this new identity that we're stepping into for the next 35 years after leaving a bunch of 35-year stuff behind, could it be hard? Yes, we could feel triggered by it. We could feel hurt. We could feel insecure. But This is Chiron about to pass the degree it's been retrograde at all last year. Chiron went retrograde at 5 degrees Aries last year, which is where it is now. Chiron's about to be in uncharted territory. Chiron's about to be in a degree it hasn't been at in decades, or in a very, very long time. Okay, so with the new moon conjunct Chiron, this is not about us having all these fears and insecurities come up and about us getting lost and drowning in them. With Chiron about to pass the degree it's been retrograde all year, and with the new moon there, new moons to me bring new beginnings of sort and a new perspective on things. With all of this stuff happening, this is about us getting a new perspective on our pains, a new perspective on the things that used to hurt us. And it's about us getting a new perspective on our pains and a new perspective on the things that used to hurt us and used to wound us, so that we can move on from them. And so that we can not feel so hurt about them. And so that we can allow ourselves to more fully embrace a different way of being that it is that we need. Which is really what I think Chiron at the first degrees of Aries has been all about. Chiron at the first degrees of Aries has been about us being so scared to be someone new and different, to change our lives, to overcome this 35-year stuff. And with the new moon here, it's saying, stop it, stop it. Stop being so scared of being a new and different. You've been trying to be this for so long. It's what needs to happen. It's what you've been, embrace it, accept it. Heal from it, heal from all this old stuff. Okay, Chiron as well there to me is also about doing things, do I want to say, with more authenticity and with more vulnerability. You know, like that's also a part of it. It could be scary to be this new person, this new way of being for the next 35 years that haven't quite been created yet. But to me, the Chiron influence is saying, stop being so scared. You're going to be fine. It's what you've been wanting. And if you are scared, just approach what's going on now in your life with more authenticity, more vulnerability, more sensitivity, more transparency. And that's going to help you. That's going to help you to negate any of the harsher things that could come from this alignment so that you can move on from it. Another reason why I feel like this is not about us getting stuck in things that hurt and in things that are hard is because this alignment is also square the nodal axis. And the nodal axis is about turning points. It's about turning points, and it's about turning things around. Either things turn around on their own, or we do it by choice. We consciously choose. Although I like to emphasize the conscious choice of this alignment. So with the square to the nodes here, this to me is not, I'm a new person, and I'm hurt and I'm scared. Or I can never be a new person. I'm always going to be the 35-year-old me. This is not about that. To me, I just cannot say it enough. I think multiple things are indicating this here. To me, this is about us separating from the hard times, picking ourselves up from them, and moving on and accepting a different way of being and consciously choosing to forge our way into new chapters and territories without all this old stuff bringing us down, and with a very different perspective on it. Okay, another reason why I think that's possible is because Mars and Jupiter and Pluto are in a conjunction as well at this time. Mars is the ruler of the new moon because the new moon is in Aries, and Mars is the ruler of Aries. So this to me is also about what? A different Mars-Jupiter, a new way of being, a different way of being that we're getting more excited about. Okay, that's another reason why I like this. Mars-Jupiter. Okay, we're becoming a new and different person. We're overcoming our fears. We're moving on. Mars, Jupiter, we're getting excited about it and optimistic. Could it be scary with Mars conjunct Pluto to see this new identity be a more permanent thing than it has been? Sure, there is this thing. We're like kind of scared. I feel like this like new moon, we're like right on the edge. I'm like kind of scared, but I'm not. I'm kind of worried about this new me, but I'm not. Is it? Am I not? Depends what day you talk to me. You know, and there's this thing that we're like teetering back and forth. And this new moon is saying, stop being scared of this new existence, this new world, this new life. You've been working towards it. It's something that needs to happen. Embrace it and get excited about it because you know you want to be. You know you want to be excited about it. So many different things are now opening up before you in your life for the better that are with the North Node in Cancer, going to help you do more of what honors your soul and puts you at peace and makes you feel good. While this is going on, we've also got Venus and Taurus as well, making a trine to Jupiter and Pluto. So Venus, Venus has a lot to do with ourselves, especially in Taurus, ourselves and who we are and our own values, our skills, our talents, our worth. Venus also has a lot to do with our money is changing. The way that we see ourselves is changing. The way other people see us is changing. The skills and the talents that we use to make things happen in our lives, to make things manifest, are changing. Our money situation changing, big ways. But with Jupiter being involved, especially interpreting this in more of an interpersonal way, this is a good thing. They need to change. Money needs to change. The way you see yourself needs to change. The skills and talents that you use to get things done in the world, to make things happen, need to change. And they're changing for the better. To reset the scores. To turn things around in the way that they need. For too long in our lives, we've been doing things out of obligation. Well, I've always been doing this thing for 35 years. And if I back out of this thing, then someone's going to get mad at me. And if someone, for too long, we've been doing that. And this new moon is saying it's a new way of doing things. It's here. You could be a little bit scared, but come on, time to get excited. Because this new way of doing things is going to help you feel better, honor your soul, honor your emotions, and bring tons of new experiences into your life that are going to help to reset, reconceptualize, increase your value, move you forward in ways that are necessary. Mercury also at this time in Pisces, making a sextile to Uranus and Taurus, a trine to the North Node in Cancer. I like to think this is all about us rebuilding ourselves stronger, better from the inside out. Not only are things externally changing in our lives, but things internally are changing. We're starting to get a very different perspective on life, one that we need in order to move us forward. I don't know how many times to say it, but this is like the main gist. If there's one thing you take away from this, is that it's time for us to change and to not be afraid to change and to not be afraid to totally reconceptualize our life, to totally reset things across the board, to totally do things differently than we've done in a very, very long time. We could be teetering on the edge. It's scared. I'm afraid I might want to fall backwards, but there's really no need to. And there's really, even if we tried, things are going to push us onward. It's a different life now, and it's a good thing. And it's time to embrace that. And I think that Saturn, which recently moved into Aquarius, is also a lot about that as well. Aquarius is about the future. Aquarius is about innovation. Aquarius is about revolution. With Saturn and Aquarius, it's saying now it's time to upend your life completely. And with the Pluto-Jupiter stuff, now it's time to upend your life completely. Now it's time to make your life whatever you want it to be, even if it's weird. Aquarius is like a little bit of a weird sign. Now is the time to do it. If it's authentic to you, if it's unique to you, if it's what you feel in your soul that you want, create your little weird life or your big weird life, and go for it. And don't be afraid. And now is the time to create the future. The future is now. The future is here. Embrace it. You've been trying to work for it for so long. Do it now that so many things are shifting in ways that have been necessary for a very, very long time. Okay. So maybe that's where I'll leave us. I think those are the major alignments that I want to talk about. New beginnings, major new chapters in life, free from 35-year karma to set us up for what's next. Okay. Now the real story, maybe this is one last point I should make. The real next 35 years of what is to come, we still have more time to be worked out. I think that we really won't know for sure what the next 35 years of our life are going to be like because of the Saturn-Pluto stuff till about July. I think we need to wait until after the solar eclipse in Cancer on the solstice and the lunar eclipse is complete and a bunch of retrogrades complete. So I think that we're not really going to know for sure what the new chapter of our life is about and the new 35 years of our life is about until about July. But this new moon in Aries is a major moment in which it all becomes, it all starts to happen and all the pieces start to fall into place. So that's what I'll say there. Now, the inside degree, I'll read that for the new moon. Where do I want to start? 4 degrees Aries. I think I liked that one the best. I'm going to read it on my screen. The inside degrees, you can find them online. Someone else wrote them, I didn't, for each of the signs of the zodiac. 4 degrees Aries says magic. When it may not feel like that, what the news tells you, but I think we're in a much better place than what you're going to hear on the news with all this stuff going on. I'm trying to decide how I feel about a lot of that stuff, but I feel like for those of us, well, for those of you who've been following me for a while, or just astrology in general and other astrologers, we knew a massive change in life was coming. We were prepared for it, and we've been consciously trying to get there. And now it's here. And I feel like, I don't know, I don't want to make any political statements about what's going on, but I just feel like what's going on right now in the news is the push that we all needed as a collective. And for those of us who aren't aware of astrology and the trends of the universe, it's a big push for us all collectively to get to the new moon, or to get to the North Node in Cancer and the shift that we've been working towards. Either go willingly or be forced into the North Node in Cancer. And I think those of you who watch me are into astrology have gone willingly, and I think the news is helping to push everyone else into this new world, new way of being, North Node in Cancer, home, sensitivity, heart, and soul. That's been a long time coming. 4 degrees Aries. Magic, when someone is ready and willing to stand there and allow all of existence to stream and pour through them. So what is this new moon in Aries doing? Creating a new sense of being that's going to create some real magic in our lives. It says, they shall activate the forces of magic, the return of wonder. So wonder now starting to return, and the feeling of what can be. Why are we starting to feel magical? More wonder in our life, more excited about what's next, because we're dropping the baggage of the past 35 years. And because a new frontier is before us to create whatever we want it to be finally. It's been a struggle to get here, but now it's a real thing. We are abandoning ourselves to the frequency of boundless discovery and naive, raw initial disclosure, exhilarated, ecstatic, triumphant, unable to contain yourself one moment longer, so enthusiastic and alive that you must find relatives, playmates to go places with and cut loose together, a state of being that begs to be shared. It is the release point for a flood of new impulses, and when given full momentum, it rallies, inspires, sets the world on fire, and laughs so delightedly that no one can resist joining in. This new moon in Aries is a good thing. I'm not going to spread the doom and gloom on the TV. We are in a new world. We are in a new age. This is positive. So many possibilities opening up before us in these spaces that we're now in, to create magic, to find new drives, to find new passions, to get excited and to refresh ourselves from which to move forward. I wanted to read 5 degrees Aries. I don't think I like 5 degrees Aries as much for this new moon. It says, driven by the heart to go to any lengths to express and embody the realization of divinity, intoxicated with the divine, called beyond, taken by passion, transported into other realms, swept away, liberated from the wheel, a frenzy of conviction that nothing matters except the ultimate. So there is this sense at this new moon that we are being given over to something larger than ourselves that's going to renew our passion for life and help us create different experiences and chapters. That's all I can say. Stop pretending y'all don't want this to happen. It's about time that life changes. And maybe that's wrong. There's a lot of you who probably are going to welcome this, and I think it's a good thing. But for everyone else, not pretending that you don't want it. I think change is a good thing. I think change is a necessary thing that's helping us to reset the scores, but become whatever we want or need to be, and that's opening up space for other things to be birthed that are positive. Your card for the new moon is Judgment reversed. What is this card about? Typically when I see Judgment upright, to me it's about major moments in life that change them, and that can take us higher, not just change our life. Typically when people think change, they think, well, what if it's a bad change? To me, Judgment upright, I like to think is a moment to take us higher, past our current consciousness, past our current situations, to reach other levels and to absolve the things that weren't working and to move forward. And with the Judgment reversed, it makes me think that some of us may be afraid to level up, may be afraid to go into new chapters, may be afraid to listen to the call of a new life that is now like begging to be experienced. And my thought of this card is like, you just have to let yourself get taken in on the wave of what's next and to not hold yourself back. Maybe there's some of us who are afraid of what's next and therefore don't want to go, or maybe some of us still feel guilty and still have a lot of emotions that are preventing you from moving forward. And I don't know, with this card, I just want to say new, higher, better levels of life, experience, fulfillment are now here, are now calling your name. Do not miss the boat. Do not be afraid. Let go of what needs letting go of and move on, because we're at a major time to absolve what all our wrongdoings or fears or frustrations of the past and move on. The card at the bottom of the deck is the Four of Wands. Man, these are sad cards. The Four of Wands reverse indicates that we're just not feeling like we've reached some kind of moment to finish things, to celebrate, to end cycles, to level up. And just like, what do I want to say? Part of me wants to pull another card with some of these, because I'm just like, we're in a fine spot. What is this one? It kind of like just fell out. The Seven of Pentacles reversed. Maybe there's this feeling of, how do I handle all this? There's so much that's going on. With the Seven of Pentacles, let's see, and I think my thought here is like, don't overthink it. Don't overdo it. Maybe there's many of us who are just like, I don't know what to do and all this stuff. And now anything's open up before me and all these things I could be and couldn't be and all this stuff. And oh my gosh, all these new awarenesses. And my thought with this card is like, don't overthink it. Don't overdo it. Don't try to be a perfectionist and to put all the pieces together, especially with the North Node in Cancer, Mercury in Pisces, some of these other things. Like, listen to your soul, listen to your intuition, because it's going to guide you to where you need to be. Perhaps the forcing the new chapter is making the new chapter harder to accept, admit to, experience, and that doesn't need to happen. This should not be a new moon, and this should not be an experience in your life that you feel like you have to constantly work towards and perform to make happen. We've already done the work. Like, we've already done the work to get to this different place. So my thought with this card, after pulling the other ones, is like, we're not feeling like we're in a moment that we can celebrate and turn things around, because maybe we're focusing on the wrong things. Maybe we're worrying. Maybe we're focusing too much on the details. Maybe we're trying to be perfect. And the thing is, don't worry. Don't try to be perfect. Follow your spirit, your soul, and intuition to guide things to where they need to be, because focusing on all the other stuff is just going to stress you out and be counterproductive. So that is your forecast for the new moon in Aries. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you on the next video.